This week, we're going to talk about the draft of DPEPP, that's Defense Production and Export Promotion Policy, the draft which has been put in public domain by the Ministry of Defense. There are several aspects to this particular draft, and the views have been, comments and views have been solicited by the Ministry of Defense. Let's try and understand what exactly DPEPP 2020 draft talks about. So for this, we have a distinguished panel of guests. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with we have Mr. Lakshman Kumar Behera, Research Fellow at IDSA. He's somebody who keeps a tab on all these developments, specifically with respect to defense production and the export promotion, the policy and the strategy being adopted by India as well. We also have retired Lieutenant General Dr. V.K. Saxena. He's a distinguished fellow at VIF, and we're also joined by Mr. Ajay Banerjee, the defense correspondent at the Tribune. Welcome all of you gentlemen to Rajya Sabha TV. Let me begin with you, General Saxena, and let's start by giving our viewers an overview, a salient features or points of this draft DPEPP.
The defense production and export promotion policy, which is in a draft form, is a new document. It is supposed to be an overarching document, which is an output of Atmanirbhar Bharat. It is meant to give focused, structured and significant inputs and control various elements and guide various elements related to defense production and export promotion. If you look at the policy in its entirety, basically, we will see that there are certain thrust areas which the policy looks at. The first thrust area is talking about the procurement reforms. We all understand very well that the defense procurement is bugged with a lot of ills. First of all, time delays. A procurement which takes 36 to 48 months can go 5 to 6 years. And also there are too many stages of approval, too many over centralization. It addresses that. That is the first one. First of all, it says that whatever we can produce in our country should not be imported. For that, the promotion policy talks about making a negative import list, not only of today, but also in the time perspective that what we can do and make in our country should not be imported at all. Then to set up to sort out the procurement blues, it aims to set up a project management unit that is managing the procurement process more efficiently and to facilitate the acquisition process properly. Okay. Also, it talks about the establishment of a technical assessment cell, which will actually take account of the technology readiness level which is available and classify various industry players in according to their capability. The one which can do design, development, production, testing and certification to be independent players, whereas the one who can do only development can be only development, design and development and production can only be the partners with DRDO. Also, it aims to refine the complete trials procedure. Then the other thrust area relates to indigenization and support to MSMEs. It has a policy of indigenization of 5,000 items by 2025. Also, it talks about the support to MSMEs in a large way. For this, it has set up a defense investor cell, which can be discussed in some other forum. Also, the next thrust area is the optimization of resource allocation. It says that now today in the defense budget head, we have one major head 2076 and one minor head 101. One was for defense procurement, other is for army for pensions and for personal services. It says that you have to have a distinct budget head only for domestic capital procurement. Also, it aims to enhance the domestic production by 15% in each year over the next 5 years. And most interestingly, in optimization of the resource allocation, it talks about scrutinizing our defense expenditure under various heads so that you do not have a less priority item taking a spike or a major chunk of the budget, whereas a lesser priority item, because it could not move up the procurement cycle, could not. So some sort of a scrutinization is expected. The other area, the other thrust areas talks about investment promotion. investment promotion, FDI, and ease of doing business. In investment promotion, you are aware now today, India has got a lot of things going in the aircraft area, in engines area, in UAV domain, in line replacement units, as also in upgrades and retrofits. In this area, we have Tejas, we have ATS, we have so many things coming up. So in this area, interact the investment.
Also, okay. Just Saxena, I'm pretty sure there are other points as well, and you'd like to elaborate on them also. But we'll come to those parts specifically later. For example, innovation, R&D, and export promotion, as well as the quality assurance as well. But these 3-4 points which you mentioned, let me first have the comments from the other two panelists on these 3-4 points, and let me start with you, Ajay. Procurement reforms, indigenization, all these aspects which General Saxena spoke about are some of the key focus areas. It looks like this is carrying forward the idea of defense industry reforms, which were, talked about during the lockdown period when we, heard the finance minister put in place the entire, spectrum of reforms which is being talked about. There also there was a mention of defense industry reforms. So it's like building on those particular steps. Now we are talking about overall draft policy. Is that how it looks like, Ajay?
So the policy now aims to have an export of 35,000 crores, that is $5 billion by 2025. It is possible. We have done around 13,000 crores last year. So I believe it is possible in 2025 because we are growing. A lot of countries around us, surrounding countries, our neighbors, our friends, they want equipment from us because it's reliable, cheaper, much cheaper than what the Western countries or what Russia produces for them. So that is one aspect. I see the export promotion policy and making India as an export hub for global supply chains as the most important aspect of this policy. This will bring in jobs, this will bring in exports, this will bring in money to our companies and also raise our stature in the world. That's how I see it. The second point is increasing the amount of defense production we make annually. That is, we aim to have something like $25 billion by 2025. That is a huge number because that is largely dependent on not just on PSUs, private industry and other places also. Because the private sector is coming up in a big way at the moment. It is not just the DPSUs or the OFBs. The private sector will also contribute to this $25 billion target by 2025. These are the two most important aspects for me, Vishal.
Okay, definitely. These are some of the important aspects. Mr. Lakshman, let me bring you here on these overarching, components or the contours of this draft DPEPP. Obviously, there are 3-4 other points as well. So if you'd like to elaborate on the ones which have already been pointed out by General Saxena, and of course, export is the thrust area.
Yes, right. So this draft defense production and export promotion policy was in the making. In fact, in 2018, the Ministry of Defense came out with a revised draft because the first defense production policy was announced in 2011 and that was not quite effective. So the ministry was working over the years, and after the Make in India was announced and after the Prime Minister's vocal for local call and Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan movement. So the Ministry of Defense has activated all its departments and stakeholders, and they have put together all the ideas in one document, and this is the draft we are seeing. And I think as General V.K. Saxena rightly said, this is an overarching document. The good part of the document is that it has clear objectives. It lays down what it intends to do over a period of time. In fact, it has identified 5 objectives, and to achieve those objectives, it has clearly laid down the focus areas. So General Saxena talked about procurement reforms, indigenization and support to MSMEs, optimization of resource allocations, investment promotion and FDI, and ease of doing business measures. But it also talks about innovation and R&D, because you can't be self-reliant unless you have innovation and your own industry designs and develops state-of-the-art equipment which actually can be acquired by the armed forces. And it is identified number of technologies which will be developed by the DRDO, of course, with the help of other stakeholders. For some examples include your gas turbine engine, which has been which has been a weak area in our innovation setup. It talks about hypersonic missiles. So there are a lot of other things. So at least we know what the production policy intends to do through domestic R&D over a period of time. Then it also talks about the reform of the state-owned entities, particularly the OFB and the DPSUs. So the government has already declared that OFB, Ordnance Factory Board, which is a mammoth organization which has more than 80,000 people, but it's considered a very inefficient organization. So government is taking steps to corporatize it. So it will become another DPSUs, and after that subsequent reforms can be taken. This is a very big step to begin with, and if it is actually pursued to the logical conclusion, I think it is a major defense industrial reform, I would say. Then another aspect is to overhaul the quality assurance and quality control agencies. Now, we know for sure that we can design and develop a lot of things, but we don't have the right agencies to certify them in a time-bound manner. And it is often very frustrating for the developers or the producers to go through a lengthy process of trials and testing, and those times are actually more than the developmental time. And that actually creates a disincentive among the R&D and the production agencies. So government, this production policy talks about simplifying those. But the major part is the export promotion, how to promote India's defense export. So there is a target. Now we are at the level of around 10,000-11,000 crore. Now to increase by three times, which is around 30 to 35,000 crore. This is an ambitious target, but this is very much doable. And there are a number of steps that the government has articulated, that all our Indian defense attaches which are posted in missions, they will be co-opted and their assistance will be taken into consideration for promoting Indian exports. Then government will take lead. If you look at other major exporting countries, be it France or Israel or US, their head of states actually take a lot of active interest in promoting their defense equipment. Here the draft policy also talks about government to government kind of exports. So that's the very big and bold step from the government. Then government can provide export credits to some of the countries which don't have enough money to buy, but they can be given financial assistance, which they can use to buy equipment from our industry. There are so many other measures, some licensing, so export authorization mechanism that will also be simplified. So as a whole, I think this draft policy is a good package. And so after taking into consideration all the inputs which the government receives from the stakeholders, I think we'll have a very, I think, far-reaching document which will have tremendous impact on the production and exports.
Okay. Let me bring in Jan Saxena again here. Jan Saxena, it looks like the way you were also explaining in your first response and the way Lakshman and Ajay also pointed out, if you take a broad look at this particular draft, the first is on indigenization and promoting exports as well. But when we talk about indigenization, as in pushing the domestic industry there is a lot of focus which will have to be put into, innovation and R&D as well, and, reforming the DPSUs as well. How do you look at the first area specifically when we talk about indigenization process here?
Sir, this document is a very overarching and it is a very wide coverage. If you talk about the indigenization, it is a vertical by itself, which is very difficult and which is not an easy task to do. First of all, setting up a targets are all right. Now today, you're talking about 25, you are talking about achieving a target of $25 billion. You know what is the 2018-19 total turnover in manufacture? For the public sector, it is 8 billion. And for the private sector, 2.48 billion. And today the export is 1.5 billion. To take them to 25 billion and 5 billion is a very big target. Now, secondly, talk of indigenization. You have indigenization, all right. But at the same time, there has to be an approach from the DPSUs and the OFB to go ahead and ask the private industry to take part in the indigenization process. You have been told, this policy tells that they will, the DPSUs and the OFBs will be will be given incentive for vendor development. They have to do vendor development. Vendor development is all right, but at the same time, carrying out indigenization requires a total effort of the DPSUs, OFB, and the private industry. It is not a joke. Secondly, the innovation and the R&D, we all already know about that IDEX, Innovation for Defense Excellence. We have Mission Raksha Gyan and all that. But at the same time, innovation requires young minds. You must have heard of a competition going on these days, Dare to Dream. DRDO has taken out 2.0 in the memory of Kalam, Dr. Kalam. Now, there are many things. They are not only just gas turbine engine. There are small things like active seeker. There are cruise missiles. There are armored fighting vehicles. There are BMP. There are robotics. There are artificial intelligence. So many things where you require innovation. For example, everybody talking about swarm drones. Is there an innovative mind which can design a small vehicle with artificial intelligence which can go and carry out its mission independently? We are talking about bringing down the drones without firing missiles on them. Okay, as anybody can develop a very small, simple thing which can bring down a drone either by a physical catastrophic kill or by a laser thing. Everybody talks of laser weapon, but where is the development in laser weapon on ground? Innovators are required who can take out the problems of power and so on. Now talk about the DPSU. Talk about the DPSU, the culture of DPSU has to change. Government is talking about making them system integrators. What is system integrator? You are only an integrator, but you will involve your private industry, you will involve other vendors, you will involve so many other players, and you will carry out the production system. Now, testing, government is very clear. We have discussed on your program only something called the DTIS, Defense Testing and Integration Scheme. Government has spent 400 crores, planning expenditure of 400 crores with a special vehicle in which you can 8 greenfield ranges are coming up in 2 of the defense industrial corridors. Government is giving a lot of thrust. Dr. Lakshman was talking about that there is a frustrating experience of the producers to produce something but cannot test, cannot integrate, cannot certify, and also the export promotion. Our 2 vehicles, DEF Expo and Aero India, the government wants to capitalize on them. The government wants to take them forward to ensure that they become our brand ambassadors to say what we can develop, what we can show to the world, and what is our capability. Now, all this is something called our ease of doing business is going up from 142 out of 190 in 2014. Today, we are at 63. Maybe we'll cross the target of 50. So these are easier said than done. Said than done. Indigenization, investment, export promotion. You heard OFB corporatization, how much resistance is taking place, how much 80,000 force is on roadside. But talking about DPSU's disinvestment, how difficult it become. Time, cost, quality. DPSUs have to realize that. OFB have to realize that it is open playing field. No captive business. It is open playing field. You have to go and win. So this is a document which puts things in, but it requires implementation.
Okay, definitely. It is a tough task, but then, that is where this entire overarching document comes in place. Ajay, I would ask you that, would you agree with the points which are being put forth by General Saxena and Lakshman there as well? Because the way we are looking at this particular policy or this particular document, it is quite clear, that to achieve the 2 goals, one is specifically an enhancement of export, and 2 is indigenization. We will have to ensure innovation, R&D, public sector and private sector to go hand in hand with each other. Reforms, obviously, in DPSUs. All these are small, might look like small components or small aspects, but these are very crucial to achieve that overarching goal.
Yes, they are, because see, the point happens now because what we have been talking all this while for the past 10 years is fructified in this document which has been released 2 days ago and which can be seen on the websites of the company. It has been fructified. Now, once it has been fructified, now it is for the industry to take it up. Our private industry is one of the best in the world. I can assure you that we all have seen them function with regards to defense production and defense equipment making. They can do a better job than several others. So let them have an open field across the world. They are already making parts of planes for Boeing, for Lockheed Martin, for Airbus. Let them take the next step forward innovation, when we talk about innovation, please keep in mind the Navy has taken a lead in terms of Indian Airways, that is making the ships locally. In the past 10 years, we have not got any ship from outside. Okay, we are taking 2 of the Grigorov class from the Russians because there is some things attached to it that can't be spelled out there. In case of the Air Force, the Tejas is just coming in, but I believe now Make in India is the way forward. The Indian Air Force Chief Dhuria Saab was very categorical in October when he made the statement that there will be no, he will try to cut the imports and there will be only local products. Now, planes, drones, armed drones, these are the things we have to start making immediately. Innovation, R&D is needed. And this document, I believe, addresses all of those. Vishal?
Okay. Lakshman, would you agree that this looks like a very tough task, but that's how we will have to go ahead and navigate ourselves as a country if we want to go ahead and be self-reliant, specifically with respect to defense equipment. We will have to take into account all these aspects.
Yes, as a policy document, I can't fault with the document because the policy has to talk big things. It has to give the big picture. But the good thing is that the policy is backed by strategies. So there are 9 key steps that the policy lays down. Okay, these things will be done by various stakeholders so that we'll achieve the larger objective. Okay, so I think nobody will mind if we fall short by 5,000 crore in our production. But our intent has to be clear. Our production is now 80,000 crore and we have to step up by on an average 19,000 crore every year to reach that 1,75,000 crore, of which 35,000 crore will come from exports. Now, if you look at today's exports, which is around 10 to 11,000 crore, few years ago, it was less than 1,000 crore. So nobody actually trusted when the government that time said, okay, I remember then defense minister publicly saying we'll have a defense export of $2.5 billion and people were laughing. But we realized that. We are very close to that. So as a policy document, it has to give you the big picture. So, but the good thing is that it has strategies, and I am sure that all the stakeholders will do their due diligence to achieve the larger objective. But another good aspect is that this document is also in line with our political thinking. Now, in most of the countries, or particularly in India, sometimes the policy falters because it is not backed or supported by the political vision. Now, the Prime Minister is talking about the Atmanirbhar Bharat, vocal for local. Make in India was there previously. Now, everything all actually leads to self-reliance. So, if every stakeholder knows, okay, he has to do his bit to fulfill the political objective, then I think these objectives are not so big. So we have achieved 10,000 crore exports. We can really, it is very doable to achieve 30,000 crore, and strategies, objectives are quite clear. And I'm sure this will lead to better picture for the Indian defense industry in the coming years.
Okay, definitely. If you tried with a proper strategy, nothing is impossible. And as you're pointing out, looks like the policy and the vision seems to be aligned together. Let's have final concluding comments from you, Jan Saxena, before we wrap up this show. And then that's going to be about, how this will get implemented on the ground. That becomes really, really important, because as a policy document, all of you are saying that it looks like a very, perfect way of going ahead and achieving the desirable targets, specifically with respect to indigenization and export promotion as well. And both are interlinked, very closely interlinked with each other. But when we start implementing this policy on the ground, how the policy makers and stakeholders, how should they go about it?
Sir, you have hit a very, very key aspect, that the policy is all right, but there are a lot of impediments in implementation. First of all, as a person who has remained in the procurement process for decades, I am of the firm believer that no policy, no organization, no procedure should become an encumbrance. This policy should not become another cog in the wheel, another stage of approval, another stage in the time thread which increases one more stage, one more approval. It should not increase over centralization, which is already too high. We should decentralize. It should not one more that this is all right, but you have to take the approval of so and so more and so and so more. Secondly, the attitudinal roadblock. The attitudinal roadblock is a very big thing. What is that? The thing is that the stakeholders, the MOD and the others must realize that, as Ajay was talking about, our private sector has arrived Today, our private sector can do things. What about K9 Vajra? What about M77? What about ATAGS? What about 1200 crores of 3D surveillance radars to Navy? It's the private players who are leading international forums and winning contracts. It is the time when the private industry, private players are not to be taken as step brother. They have to be taken as comrades in arms, and they have to be taken together. When somebody says that incentive to MSMEs, incentive to private sector, they are the, for example, in Akash weapon system, it is lot of private players are there, but in the new weapon system, more and more. Government says every time 15% additional have to be in. Second case is accountability. In the defense acquisition position, no accountability. If you delay, here the accountability procedure should be there. And lastly is that there should be an institutional forum for feedback to the MOD. Last time the Make-II procedure, the strategic partnership model suffered because there was no feedback, regular feedback. What is wrong with your policy? What are the course correction required? So I feel that more than the policy, it is the implementation blues which have to be addressed. And also one single point is that private industry has arrived is a fact of the game. DPSUs have to realize the reality of the day, and OFBs have to corporatize.
Okay, definitely implementation part is really, really important out there. Before we bring this to an end, Ajay wants to say something. Ajay, concluding words from you.
Yeah, quickly. I see the private sector has arrived. I will just buttress General Saxena's point, because see what happens is Godrej is making parts of the BrahMos. There are people who are making parts of the Tejas. There are L&T has made a submarine, or they made the strategic submarine, and there are other people who are doing a lot of work. So let us not think about big things and make them, because I'll give another example. I cannot take the name because that's not public. Indian private sector companies making the barrels for a foreign gun, artillery gun. So you can imagine the work they are doing. The time has come for us to capitalize on that and increase the production. Sure.
Okay, definitely. That's very, very true. The private sector has arrived as far as the defense sector is concerned. And those are the finer points for the DPEPP draft 2020. That's Defense Production and Export Promotion Policy, which has been put into public domain. Looks like, as our panelists are pointing out, this is an over